there are two divisions of the Blues and Royals in front. And in fact, we're seeing now Prince Michael, Princess Michael of Kent arriving here at Westminster Abbey. So the British members of the royal family now arriving at the Great West Door to make their way in. They've actually just come off a coach, a Westway coach, so it will be interesting to see exactly who is there. And Prince Harry as well, will he be arriving by coach or will he be coming under escort in his own vehicle? We know, of course, that he did on the last occasion that he was here for the Queen's funeral, so there's no sign of Prince Harry at the moment, but other members of the royal family now making their way up towards that Great West Door here at Westminster Abbey. As you're back there, just coming out of Admiralty Arch now, those first two divisions from the Blues and Royals ahead of the Diamond Jubilee coach, and behind them, of course, the lifeguards. So there you see more members of the British royal family coming into Westminster Abbey proper to take their seats ahead of the main arrivals. Viscount Linley among those coming into the Abbey now, and they will sit alongside people who have been in that Abbey, Nigel, for about 3 hours now, and they've still got, of course, 2 hours of the service to go when it begins.
David Starkey, we've just seen the state coach go through Admiralty Arch.
Go to Admiralty Arch, you'll see that there's a change in the colour of the troops lining because we've now got the Navy. This end of Whitehall is the headquarters of the British Navy. There's the magnificent Admiralty, which is the first of the new government buildings to be built at the beginning of the 18th century, with this extraordinary rise to power. But what's going to happen now is we will see very soon this immensely tight turn that they have to do around the bottom of Trafalgar Square, and what they will be going round is the statue of King Charles I, who is beheaded in the Civil War. It's a wonderful statue. We should all try and look at it as it goes round. It's magnificent. It's a first equestrian statue in London of this king who believed he ruled by divine right and lost his throne accordingly.
Yeah, he certainly did. And Cameron, we've seen shots of people arriving in the Abbey. There's the Middletons arriving now. And some of these people have been in the Abbey. The doors opened at 7:30 this morning.
Yes, they've had a very long wait, haven't they, Nigel? I'd like to know if they can actually get up and wander around, and I suspect the answer is no, they cannot.
No, I'm sure that's right.
Because, of course, everybody has to be in place for the moment that the King and Queen consorts...
Prince Andrew arriving. So I guess the answer to that is sort of go easy on the tea at breakfast, I guess.
Yes, indeed.
For that period of time.
We can just see Prince Andrew's daughter, Princess Eugenie, and her husband, Jack Brooksbank. Of course, she is pregnant and is expecting her second child this summer. I can see Zara and Mike Tyndall. Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, is also in the car. It appears they travelled in the same car, or at least same convoy, as the Duke of York.
And notice the Duke of York is wearing the robes of the Garter. That's what he's got on. Prince Michael of Kent was wearing the robes. I think he is the actual master of, and there is Harry.
There's a Duke of Sussex talking to Edoardo Perimozzi, the husband of the Duke of York's daughter, Princess Beatrice.
And Harry there, wearing his medals, wearing mourning dress.
Yes. Of course, he did serve 2 tours of Afghanistan. He is entitled to wear military medals, even if he doesn't have a ceremonial role in the British Army anymore.
I mean, we must never forget he served with very great distinction. His grandmother was immensely proud of him. She was determined that her grandson should serve. Harry served whatever has happened since. I do not think that should ever be taken away.
And if you remember when Buckingham Palace announced that Prince Harry would be attending the coronation, they said they were very pleased to announce that Prince Harry was here, perhaps reflecting the King wanting his youngest son to be in the Abbey to watch him be crowned.
Yeah, and I think whatever was said or whatever was written in that book, as you say, it is the king's youngest son, and it's right. I think it is right that he's here.
Totally, and I think again, Prince Charles, he slipped. So
I know,
King Charles made very clear. Again, he was reviled in the aftermath of Diana's death, but he did his best to be both a father and a mother, and a very loving father.
Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, we just saw arrive with Vice Admiral Tim Lawrence, her husband. Of course, she will be golden stick in waiting. I believe that's the Duke of Edinburgh. We can see
It is.
New Duke of Edinburgh. And the Earl of Wessex, his son.
Again,
there you go, Duchess.
Again, in the robes of a Knight of the Garter.
Yes.
The full robes with the great chain, the star, the embroidered star on the cloak.
The oldest and most noble order of chivalry in Britain.
In Europe.
In Europe?
In Europe.
Oh,
It's
wow.
older than the Golden Fleece. It's founded by Edward III, and its role essentially was to conquer France. And we'll be seeing repeated echoes of this,
Yes.
because you'll repeatedly see the fleur de lis. The crown that the king will wear, the crown of the queen, will alternate the cross of England with the fleur de lis of France.
Duke and Duchess of Gloucester, we've just seen walking down the aisle there. And here is the Princess Royal, who of course is going to be golden stick in waiting during the coronation procession following the...
So she'll look rather, dare one say, a principal boy in pantomime. Do you remember she played the trouser role again in the Queen's funeral?
She did, very much so.
Yeah.
And is it fair to say, Cameron, that she's probably the hardest working member of the royal family?
Absolutely. If you go by the number of engagements she carries out every year, she certainly is on the top. And even just listening to her interview with CBC earlier this week, you could tell she knows how to, A, talk to the media. She is no nonsense, no fuss, and just gets on with the job.
I thought that interview did something else. It was a very firm shot across the bows of her brother,
Wasn't it?
Yes. Very. And by the way, when we've now got the king and queen.
Just looks like still travelling down Whitehall.
Yes.
Going
Now,
past Downing Street.
at this point, of course, they went past the statue of Charles I. They're now going to go past the banqueting house, through the windows of which Charles I stepped to his execution. This is the most extraordinary thing. Earlier on, there were protests by Republic. The thing that we all need to remember, we tried a Republic once. The French were so behind the times. We did it 150 years earlier, and we decided we didn't want it.
Yes, and of course Cromwell's statue, they won't go directly past, but it's pretty much opposite the Abbey, isn't it?
It's on the other side of Parliament Square.
Yes.
It's just on the other side of Parliament Square. So in other words, you'll have gone past the two sides of the Civil War. You've got the regiments that are founded, one by the Royalists, the other by the Parliamentarians. This is deep history. This is a history that constantly comes to the surface.
If you notice the order in which everybody is arriving, we have foreign royalty, then we had members of the royal family who are members of the British royal family, yes, but not working members of the royal family. What we have just seen process down the aisle now are the working members of the royal family, Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, Duke and Duchess of Gloucester, the Princess Royal and Vice Admiral Tim Lawrence as well. So any second now, we are expecting the Prince and Princess of Wales to appear with perhaps one or more of their children too, but not Prince George, because of course he's a page of honour to his grandfather, isn't he?
But again, you see what you're seeing here, Nigel. Continuing the lesson,
Yeah,
you're seeing
please.
you are seeing an inverse order of precedence. So the humblest mere foreign royalty come first, then non-working British royals, working, and then up to the Prince and Princess of Wales, and then finally the King and Queen. When, of course, the service is over, the order of precedence reverses, and the King and Queen leave first.
Yes.
And everybody else follows.
And huge amounts of speculation, Cameron, as to what the Princess of Wales will be wearing, and people betting on what colour she's going to be wearing. Do we have any idea?
Yes, indeed. We don't as of yet. I can bring you details perhaps as soon as we see her. There is, of course, questions as to whether she will or will not be wearing a tiara. Will they, won't they be wearing robes of state as well? It's all those questions which, of course, having the first coronation in almost 70 years, there's a big question mark over, isn't there? Because we've heard rumours that the king wants a more modern coronation, a scaled-back
This
coronation.
looks really modern,
It
doesn't
doesn't
it? Isn't this just amazing? This is just such an every... How could one ever get around without a gilded its
I don't
coach,
think
yes.
any country in the world is
Regardless of
going
being
to
modern.
look at this
No,
and say that we've become modern.
terrifically
I
modern.
really don't
But you see,
think.
this also, Nigel, is the result of deliberate choice. A century ago, when the motor car is invented, Edward VII loved motor cars. He loved being driven at crack speed, 30 miles an hour, down, and even occasionally at 60, down to Brighton, breaking every law. But they decided at that point they would not use cars. They would continue to use horse and carriage. And this is the great difference between the British monarchy and the dictatorships and republics of Europe. We decided, rather than using the brute symbols of force, we would have military power, yes, but diluted and symbolic. And you can see both of them in
Yes.
white
Yes.
within the coach.
And Her Majesty's Queen robe of state, which you can see her wearing now, was originally made for Queen Elizabeth II in 1953, made of crimson velvet, and has been conserved with adjustments made by robe makers at Ede and Ravencroft ahead of the coronation.
Yeah, it's going to be quite a moment when they step out, isn't it?
It is.
Absolutely.
But again, what's remarkable is the King's insistence on reusing, which is, very much King Charles,
Yes.
is actually going back far, far into the Middle Ages, because right after the Civil War, the King and Queen were actually robed with the Anglo-Saxon robes that they'd taken from the tomb of Edward the Confessor. So it's a kind of, what I feel, and again, we'll see this as the service goes on, King Charles is inventing a new moment of the monarchy in which Queen Elizabeth II will be regarded as the founder of a new style of monarchy. It's been consciously invoking her, the things that she cared about. We will hear repeatedly in the service her very words incorporated into the liturgy. It's extraordinary. It's as though there's a new founder saint of the monarchy, the late Queen.
And Cameron, how much do we think Charles himself has been involved with these preparations?
I think a lot, to be honest. You see little subtle details in the coronation procession, what everybody is wearing, but also even inside the abbey, the flower arrangement is a nod to his love of sustainability and things such as that. And the King and Queen Consort's love of gardening, I'm told, as well, is reflected within the flower arrangements. The fact that the guest list contains charity representatives from the various patronages that the King and Queen Consort holds. It's all of those things I think the King would have been heavily involved in.
And the music, the choice of music, the insistence on the great choral tradition, and again, the King has been passionately involved in this. He believes in the amazing Anglican tradition of choral music. There will be a major change, however, in that there will be girls' choirs as well as boys' choirs involved. So some of the music may sound slightly odd because it will be heavily weighted to the treble, with, of course, girls' choirs alongside boys' choirs.
And in the Abbey itself, Cameron, about 2,500 guests?
2,300.
2,300. David, 1953. How did they get 8,000 people into the Abbey?
This is the smallest coronation congregation for 400 years. Right from the time of the Glorious Revolution, you construct these huge galleries. Remember, the Abbey's used as a theatre. You construct dress circles, you construct gods, you construct stalls, and of course they didn't have health and safety, so they could do it very, very quickly. And again, this is also right. They're coming up to the Abbey. We should fall silent now.
They seem to be before time.
They're about to descend. They will be greeted by the Archbishop and the Dean. Throughout, the Dean of Westminster will be assisting the Archbishop of Canterbury, Archbishop Welby. They will descend from the coach, and they will enter the Abbey through those great doors, that extraordinary front, which wasn't actually finished until the beginning of the 18th century, but carefully keeping the Gothic style. Again, you saw there that wonderful flash of the breastplate of one of the lifeguards.
So they're due here at 53, Cameron. They're actually 5 minutes early.
Well, yes. And also, we haven't seen the Prince and Princess of Wales yet.
No.
So I'm wondering when they're going to appear. Perhaps they're processing in together.
Well, I would have thought, given what David said earlier about order of precedent, that perhaps they're going to have to wait in that coach for a few minutes.
I was rather wondering.
Yeah.
This is rather like the bride who turns up early.
Yes.
Yeah, I have to say to all of our viewers, we are at the moment not exactly sure why this has happened this way, but it has.
I've never known an event run early
No.
like this before.
No.
Now this is worrying because it suggests they haven't quite paced it correctly.
Yes.
And the king is looking, dare one say, distinctly mixed.
Yes, he is, and also he's not getting out the carriage either.
It looks like he's muttering.
Yes, can anyone lip read?
No, I think he's making sure no one can lip read.
I think the word stinking is being used. Do you remember the famous fountain pen incident?
Yes. Yes, he's not looking.
But look again at the splendour of the bodywork of the coach, that amazing gilding and wasting.
The one advantage here is we've actually got longer to look at this coach whilst it's stationary, so I do rather agree with that. Because once they dismount, once they leave the carriage, that carriage will then go.
It will go.
Yeah.
We will not see it again.
Yeah.
Yes, replaced with the golden state coach for the coronation procession following the service.
This is the rather rickety one.
Yes,
This is the 18th century one. I mean, it is one of the most. It is probably the most magnificent state coach left in the world. The carving is, when you look at it close up, the carving is staggering. And of course, it's been repaired and regilded and regilded. The royal mews, which are just behind, are where these things are looked after, where of course many of the horses are tended and so on.
There's the congregation waiting patiently inside the abbey, even if the king and queen are perhaps slightly early.
That looks to me like a person.
Oh, the bells are chiming. There we go.
Maybe we'll have to put together.
None of us know exactly what's about to happen.
So
We have to be honest about that.
So I know that the bells were meant to start chiming as soon as the king and queen consort arrives at the abbey. So Prince Harry there, I just saw him. I think he was 3 rows back from the front. Yes, there's the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh.
You see, I mean, the bells were supposed to start pealing when they arrived at the abbey, but they've been waiting.
Yes, maybe that's what they're waiting for.
When we're pushing on 3 minutes.
Yes, but where are the Prince and Princess of Wales? That's because surely they would have to enter first. We are Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, Vice Admiral St Lawrence, Princess Royal.
I'm not sure I quite see how a fascinator works with robes. I mean, so you're a fashion consultant. It does look very extraordinary with robes.
Do you see Princess Anne's feather in that shot we just saw? Very conveniently is blocking Prince Harry's face, as some people
You're not
perhaps argue.
suggesting for one moment that's deliberate.
Not at all, not at all. He's sat next to, it looks like, Jack Brooksbank, who is Princess Eugenie's husband. We know that the Duke of Sussex has a very close relationship with his cousin, Princess Eugenie, who's Prince Andrew's youngest daughter.
The